MMA Fighting presents Timeline. Henry Cejudo.
December 13th, 2014. UFC on Fox 13, Dos Santos vs. Miocic, Phoenix, Arizona. 2008 Olympian and wrestling gold medalist Henry Cejudo makes his UFC debut against Dustin Kimura. Cejudo wins by unanimous decision.
When you did your post-fight interview, you asked for another chance at 125. Considering how good you looked at 135, why do you want to be at flyweight?
I feel like I woke up the next day, and what I weigh is pretty much about 144, 142. I cut 8 pounds yesterday, and again, a lot of people will be scared, but that's what I weigh. It was an hour cut, and I felt good, and I feel like I should finish something that I try to start. And I feel like if Daniel Cormier could make weight, I could definitely make weight. I was in the Olympic team with him, so I know if he could go down to 205, I can go down to 125.
Is it a point of pride, or do you think you're actually a better fighter at 25?
I just feel like I could dominate the 125 pounds, and I feel like I could, I feel like I could feel good at both weights. But I feel at 25 I could be extremely dominant. I feel strong at 35, and I can only imagine 25. I'm a competitor. I want to see how far I could take this game, and if I do things right, I know I could become the best in the world. And I've done it in the hardest sport in the world, and I know people like Daniel. I know in a month or so he'll be the best in the world, and I can kind of take him as an example. I'm just excited, man. I'm just excited what the future holds for me here in the UFC, and I want to fight as many times as I can as long as I'm healthy.
March 14th, 2015. UFC 185, Pettis vs. Dos Anjos, Dallas, Texas. Cejudo's second appearance in the UFC would be against former title challenger Chris Carriazo.
And what do you make of Chris? He's just fighting for the belt. I mean, he's a guy who's been in a main event. He lost to DJ, obviously, but I mean, this is a big vote of confidence. They're putting you main card pay-per-view against former #1 contender.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I think he's a tough fighter. I like him as a person. I think that makes it easier for me. Because I don't like this Twitter stuff. I don't even look at it that much. But I think he's a southpaw. He's an orthodox. He's a title contender. He had 3 consecutive wins before losing to Demetrius Johnson. He's a tough fighter, man. He's ranked number 10 in the world, and I'm making my second UFC, fighting for the second time here in the UFC. So I feel like my style matches up very well with not just him, but I think anybody in the UFC.
Cejudo wins by unanimous decision.
I come from Mexican descent. We're known to fight smart. Well, actually, not every Mexican, but to at least showcase some type of stand-up like I did in my last fight. I felt a little tight from my forearms and my chest. It was from the weight cut. I mean, it wasn't bad. I was a pound under Friday night, so whoever bet against me, you get this one. But I'll be back. I think I'm only gonna get better. I would love to find the Mexico City card. I'm fluent in Spanish. My parents are from Mexico City. Hablo español, and I think that's a perfect card for me. So I guess I'm in Mexico City now. So thank you. No, pues primeramente le quiero decir muchas gracias. Un apoyo, ¿verdad? Mis queridos mexicanos que están mirando. Los quiero mucho. Desde que era niño, peleaba por peleas de Chile. Y ahora estoy peleando por algo mucho más grande, que es hacerme campeón mundial. So, el mensaje es que no se olviden que con un sueño se puede lograr todo. Pero primeramente necesitan sacrificar. Si sueñan grandes, sacrifican todo, van a ganar la victoria. And like I said, I've been fighting as a little kid. I used to fight for ice creams in the ghettos of Phoenix. And now, as I'm a 20-year-old kid now, and now I get a chance to fight for UFC gold. And it means a lot to me. And the message that I have, the reason why I'm called the messenger, it's not so much because of the game, but it's something that's more spiritual about life. And I live by this motto. It's called dream, sacrifice, victory. Dream big, sacrifice all, and you will enjoy victory.
Okay, let's quickly talk about Henry Cejudo. Great performance, and I think he just blew away Dana White at the press conference with the fluent Spanish. He's got the look, he's got the inspirational stories. I mean, he's right out of like an NBC Olympic, one of those like segments, those mushy segments they do. And he comes out to the NBC Olympic theme. I mean, this guy is great. Did you think that, okay, I mean, it was a good performance. He's back at 125, but I feel like we sometimes want to rush these guys to these title shots so we get excited about him. Did you think that he proved that, I mean, 1 or 2 fights away from being in that discussion?
Yeah, going into it, I thought if he won, and he won impressively, he was going to be 1 fight away just because the division is so shallow. I still feel that way. I saw some people getting down on his performance. I thought it was really good. I mean, Chris Carrios is a guy who, his only losses at flyweight are to Formiga, DJ, and John Moraga. Like, if you're included in that company now at Cejudo, that's not bad company to be with. I'd really like to see him get a top 5 guy to see whether, maybe we should slow it down. Like Horiguchi, I would have liked to see Horiguchi get another fight. I'd like to see Cejudo get a top 5 fight so we know whether, he's ready or not. But I was absolutely impressed. He's on a different level athletically than all the rest of these guys so far that he's been able to fight.
June 13th, 2015, UFC 188, Velasquez versus Verdum, Mexico City, Mexico. Cejudo's third appearance in the UFC is against Chico Camus.
Going for you.
Oh, this experience is crazy. It's like nothing else. I mean, I feel like I'm at the Olympic Games. I just won the gold medal with all these cameras and all these people. It's something incredible, something you can't describe. I couldn't even fathom or think about this. This open workout's amazing.
For the third straight time, Cejudo wins by unanimous decision. Cejudo would follow this with another decision victory over top 10 ranked Jussier Formiga in Monterrey, Mexico, just a few months later. April 23, 2016, UFC 197, Jones vs. St. Preux, Las Vegas, Nevada. Johnson is set to face the undefeated Henry Cejudo as the co-main event at the MGM Grand Garden Arena.
Do you think he fears you as a fighter?
I would hope so. I mean, I would hope, maybe fear, maybe respect is probably a better word. I believe he respects the fact that I've reached a high level. I'm undefeated. Like I said, I want the best Demetrious Johnson that the world has ever seen because I don't want excuses. I really don't, and I don't mean to sound arrogant or whatnot, but I want the best of the best. I'm in my prime. I'm 29 years old. So is he. Let's give the fans a show. But if I'm healthy and I do everything right, Ariel, man, you cannot measure heart. You cannot measure hunger, and that's something that I have.
Do you think he can be the one to finally beat Demetrious Johnson at 125?
No. And, you hate to just discount anybody, but it just doesn't feel like it's there, right? Like he hasn't looked ultra impressive in his time in the UFC. It is an interesting matchup though, because this is a guy who DJ has been kind of watching since he got into the UFC. He's been talking about it for the past 2 years. Like you said, I don't feel like we've seen all of his cards, but I just don't think all of his cards are good enough when it comes down to it.
What do you think, Luke? I mean, there is a case to be made that he hasn't had enough experience to fight a guy like DJ in MMA. Of course, he has that amazing Olympic resume, but do you think it would have behooved Henry Cejudo to have 2 or 3 more fights, maybe even 1 more, or he is who he is at this point?
No, I agree. It would have been better to have a little bit more run. I would have liked to have seen him fight Horiguchi. I think that would have been a really interesting test. I think 2 different kinds of guys, and somebody who can keep away from Cejudo would have been really interesting to see too, because I think DJ can do both of those things. He can come right at you, and he can also stay away from you. I mean, look, here's the truth. On paper, there's just not a lot you can look at with Cejudo in an MMA context and draw confidence about his chances. That's just my view of things. But I'll also say this, like the closer we get, I wonder if because of that completeness that Hume alluded to, maybe he can steal a round or 2. Maybe he can get a late takedown and hold DJ down in ways we didn't think possible. Maybe he can make it kind of close where we head into the 4th round. We're like, you know what? This is surprising, because the truth about MMA upsets is, for the most part, when these, especially in championship fights, they always take you by surprise. It's always the guy you're like, yeah, there's no real path. And then they just show you something they've never shown you. Yeah. It happens all the time. So again, what's the smart money? Smart money's on DJ. I mean, it's always going to be on DJ for the most part. But I definitely agree with you. There's a bit of a vibe I'm getting here late where I'm like, I bet for times in this fight, maybe a round or 2, maybe even more than that, he can make him competitive.
Does DJ win, though, in your opinion?
Again, I forced to make a choice, I would pick DJ, yeah.
In a spectacular performance, Mighty Mouse finishes Cejudo with knees and punches less than 3 minutes into the 1st round. Cejudo suffers the first loss of his career.
Yeah, honestly, I felt like that was part of our game plan as a camp. I really did believe I was going to dominate the clinch. Coming from a wrestling background, I felt really strong. It was that first knee that he hit me with. I think he said it during the interview too. He heard me grunt. And I took him down. I could have held him out a little longer, but I was still trying to catch my breath. And it was that one knee that really did it. And at that time, when you get hit to the body, you don't even worry about your face no more. So I just started kind of protecting my body, like hanging my head down. And he did a good job. He attacked my body. I underestimated his clinch, and he hit me to the body on both sides. And I think he did a good job, man. I underestimated his clinch. I really thought the plan was to take him there, and then slowly wrestle him. But that knee was a difference, and then he just beat me up with knees, and that was the biggest thing.
And what about yourself at 135? I know you fought there before, and the weight cut isn't easy for you, is it?
Yeah, no, the weight cut was amazing this time. Like I said, I felt good, no excuses. Yeah, absolutely. In the future, I would like to go up. I really would. But man, I'd like to at least win the belt before I start thinking about going to 35.
Cejudo would go on to lose his following fight in a closely contested split decision against top 5 flyweight Joseph Benavidez. September 9th, 2017, UFC 215, Nunes vs. Shevchenko, Edmonton, Alberta. Cejudo is matched up against top 10 flyweight and fellow former title challenger, Wilson Hayes. Cejudo snaps his 2-fight losing streak and defeats Hayes by TKO early into round 2.
First win in almost 2 years, first finish in over 4 years. Considering all of that, would you say this is the best performance of your MMA career?
Yeah, I think so. I'm evolving area. Like even when I fought Demetrius, I was only in MMA for exactly 3 years, and I'm still growing as a fighter. I never did amateurs as a mixed martial artist. I went straight pro, and I was kind of in the fast lane a little bit. But I'm slowly improving. And like people say, and Joseph would always say, like, Henry's an athlete, and he's right. I'm an athlete. I can do a lot of things that maybe your typical wrestler can't. I'm just adapting to mixed martial arts more. Like even when Wilson got to my legs, I was composed. Like I knew who was gonna feel my pressure. Like anybody that tries to shoot into my legs, I felt him try to take me down when he couldn't take me down. I knew that exhausted him because I saw it in his facial expression. But there's another level of wrestling, and I'm gonna use my wrestling when I have to. And mark my words, that's where I'm the biggest threat. It's not even my striking, it's my wrestling. And I can control people. So whoever's out there that can outstrike me, I'm gonna out-wrestle you. So I'm gonna keep that in my back pocket. So let it be known, don't forget. I'm the one. I know I'm the one. I have the style, I have the wrestling. I know I'm the one to beat Demetrius Johnson. And no disrespect to all these other fighters, no disrespect to any of them, because anybody has that fighter's chance, but I still believe I have the style to eventually beat him. And I truly do believe that.
December 2nd, 2017, UFC 218, Holloway vs. Aldo 2, Detroit, Michigan. Henry Cejudo is set to face rising prospect Sergio Pettis on the main card. Cejudo uses his superior wrestling to hammer out a unanimous decision.
I fought DJ 3 years when I just started fighting. I think I'd made my MMA debut in April of 2013. Like my first fight. Never did amateur, went straight pro. DJ beat me in a gray area. He beat me in an area where we had a game plan, rough up on the clinch, and I was humbled, man. And thus far, I've gone out to different parts of the world, gone out to Evolve, gone out to Thailand, gone out to Brazil, and I'm planning on possibly going out to Europe with Coach Kyrian at CSA. Man, I've cross-trained, to become the best in the world, and literally, man, like it's kind of like a Pokemon character where you go out and you just, compete and find what fits best for you. So I think I made, leaps and bounds, man. Like I'm an athlete, man. I'm a fighter. And people ask me, how are you gonna beat Demetrius Johnson? And I'll say, it's just at that time, my answer was, man, just time, just give me time, and you guys will see my improvements.
August 4th, 2018, UFC 227, Dillashaw vs. Garbrandt 2, Los Angeles, California. Demetrious Johnson is set to defend his flyweight championship against Henry Cejudo for the second time.
You spent the first few years of your life in LA, not far from Staples Center. Do you feel a connection to not only this city, but also the Latin American community here, the Mexican American community here?
Oh yeah, man! You see the crowd yesterday, man. It's full of brown. But that's just the way it is, and I can only imagine how the crowd's gonna be Saturday night. You know, all respect to the champ, but man, they're out there. You know, the Mexicans want to see blood, and they want to see it come out of him. You know, I'm a very calm and chill guy, but I understand the entertainment world too. Man, I just, you know what I mean? Like I'm clean. I'm clean with my. I just want to be a showman, and that's it. Man. I don't want to dog nobody. I really don't, man. I could, but it kills me, man.
Cejudo wins by split decision and becomes the second ever UFC 125-pound champion.
Oh, you guys doubted me. Each and every one of you.
True. On August 19th, I became the youngest in history to ever win an Olympic gold medal. And on August 4th, I defeated the man, the myth, the legend, Demetrious Johnson, man. It feels super good. And my number one goal in life was just to be a good husband and a good father someday. That was number one, as a 17-year-old kid. Number two was to be an Olympic champion, was to be the best in the world in the sport that I just love. And then number three was to be a UFC champion. And I've done 2 out of the 3. Probably harder than ever. It might be hard being a good husband and a good dad, but some of you guys are like, the Bachelor's next, baby, bring them out. Yeah, I felt like it could have gone either way. I really did, man. If they would have gave it to Demetrious, I'd have been like, damn. It could have gone either way for sure, man. And I'm a very honest and humble human being, but I was just happy to hear I knew.
Just one more thing. Close fight. Demetrious was a champion for a very long time. I know you want to go up, but would you be willing to give him an immediate rematch?
Yeah, absolutely, man. Absolutely. And I want to talk to the UFC about that. He would deserve it. But like I said before, man, TJ has always thought about going down. And I'm saying, hey, man, it's no more DJ, man. It's Henry Cejudo. And I want to go up. Let's do it, man. 135 pounds. I'm willing to challenge the champ. Because America's all about winners. And I get it. But now that I'm the winner, I'm asking, dude. I'm an Olympic champ. I'm a UFC champ. And now I'm asking to be a triple champ. Forget about the champ. I want to be a triple champ, man. Allow me to go up to 135 pounds. Allow me to face TJ Dillashaw, man. If he wants to come down, we can talk. I'd rather go up. I want to make history.
January 19th, 2019. UFC on ESPN Plus 1. Cejudo versus Dillashaw. New York, New York. Henry Cejudo makes the first defense of his flyweight title against the UFC bantamweight champion TJ Dillashaw, who is coming down in weight for the first time in his career.
The thing is, guys, I'm not just Dana. I can tell you right now, I'm not just. This is much bigger than me. This is for the guys. This is for all the flyweights that are not big enough to make 135 pounds. I'm fighting for those guys. I'm fighting for their family. There's a big burden. There's a big inspiration in me when I'm inspired and I know I can get things done. And there's no other better person, Dana, UFC people, than to throw the Hail Mary to than me. This is personal because there's a lot of people out there. This dude is a guy that was trying to start the union with the UFC to get paid a shitload of money to get rid of the division, sicking him down to dethrone the reigning champ. I'm doing this, TJ. I'm not doing it just for me, man. I'm doing it for everybody. I'm doing it for all the 125.
And that's your problem. So you know. I'm doing this for myself. This is a selfish sport. I'm going out there and I'm winning for myself. I'm gonna be the greatest.
And that's exactly who he is. And that's exactly who he is. You have friends like Joe Benavidez. You have guys like Shorty Torres living with. These are all flyweights, bro. Where's your respect, man?
Cejudo defeats Dillashaw by strikes only 32 seconds into the fight.
I told you guys before, this win was not just for me, but for every flyweight out there that wanted the opportunity to fight for a world title someday, you know. And I put him on the map. I beat, I know he may not accept it from what I'm hearing, but I beat the greatest bantamweight of all time. And I mean, this is a flyweight. This is the guys that are boring.
You spent all week discussing how you were doing this for flyweights, yet after the fight you asked for TJ at 135. Why call him out at that weight? Why not call him out back at 125 again, or another flyweight contender?
Because I think Ali wants to answer that. Because I gave him the opportunity. It's part of it too, is added to my legacy. I've done things at from the Olympics to defeating two of the greatest, fighters of all time. I feel like now it's okay, guys. I think I have the right to say, hey, give me a shot. Allow me to keep this bout at 125 pounds. You can get your rematch, but let's do it at 135 pounds. Give me a shot now. It's almost like the champ loses his juice, guys. He's gonna fight somebody. He's gonna go defend his title 135 pounds, and he's got a loss underneath me. That doesn't make any sense, right?
June 8th, 2019, UFC 238, Cejudo versus Moraes, Chicago, Illinois. The flyweight champion, Henry Cejudo, is set to become the third UFC fighter to simultaneously hold 2 championship belts in 2 different weight classes, in facing Marlon Moraes for the vacant bantamweight UFC title.
I've been called some nasty things in my life, and I'm sick of it. I've been called a gold digger. I've been called the son of a gold. I've been called an Olympic champion, a UFC champion, Hall of Famer, author, dream catcher, dream snatcher, goat killer, the king of cringe, the greatest combat athlete of all time, but never have I been called the P word, and I'm sick of it. On June 8th, that's all gonna change. I will be the next pound for pound king. And you can tell Daniel Cormier, you can tell John Jones, you can tell Khabib Nurmagomedov that there's a new sheriff in town. And his name is Henry Cejudo, and guess what? Dana White, if you're watching, he happens to be a flyweight. Right. I do want big fights. I do want money fights. I don't think we make enough. I believe we should be getting paid like NFL players. I believe we should be getting paid big money. It's enough, man. If Conor McGregor can do it, he's not even, in my opinion, he's a champion, but he's done it for a reason. He deserves every penny that he's getting. We need to start getting paid like elite athletes. But we also have to sell it too. So I agree with the other part too. Remember, the UFC is not a mixed martial arts company, it's a marketing company. There's a reason why I got that shot at 135 pounds. There's a reason.
To ask you, how did you get the idea of coming wearing this costume today? Because we asked you if you were planning anything for the actual weight.
Yeah, because I don't believe in magic. I believe tricks are for kids. So what I did is I pulled out Mickey Mouse, which is Demetrius. I pulled out the snake, which is TJ, and then I pulled out the rabbit, which was Marlon Moraes. And then I kicked that. That's my magic. I don't believe in magic. It's all a bunch of bogus. It's all a bunch of illusions. Show me Saturday night.
Cejudo wins by TKO late in round 3.
I just went up. I'm a flyweight win up, and I beat Marlon Moraes on a 15-fight win streak. What's wrong with the division? Demetrius Johnson was just so dominant that it's like, it's not up to me, guys. Guys, I suffer making 125 pounds. Whether I stay up or I go, like, man, the division is good. Benavidez has a win over me. What is it? ESPN, what is it, Dana White? Let's restructure this for the sake of a bunch of families. You guys think it's easy coming up here and doing magic tricks and pulling out, snakes and rabbits out the bag? Like, man, I'm adding pressure to me. I'm adding pressure to me with a killer. A man that has 3 knockdowns in the first round. So, another thing that I'm going to talk about is I need to meet with Dana White too, man. I need a meeting with him because I need heavyweight money.
I feel like I'm the face of the UFC now. And I should be beat. And I want to get paid like one. And Dana White has been great to me. He's been really good. I have nothing bad to say, but I want to make heavyweight money. I want to change this game.
May 9th, 2020, UFC 249, Ferguson versus Gaethje, Jacksonville, Florida. Cejudo is set to defend his 135-pound championship against former champion Dominic Cruz. Cejudo wins via TKO late in round 2 and announces his retirement in his post-fight interview.
I've done everything, and I do feel like I should be part of Mount Rushmore when it comes to the combat sports. In combat sports, I do feel like I'm the greatest combat athlete of all time. What I've accomplished. In wrestling, I wasn't the greatest wrestler, Olympic champion, but I wasn't the greatest to say, hey, he's the greatest wrestler of all time. I'm not the greatest fighter of all time, but when you mix my resume and what I've done, I do believe I'm on top of that mountain, and I do sincerely believe that I am the greatest combat athlete of all time, and I do want to leave on top.
A lot of people saying that this is a renegotiation ploy. Is it something to do with renegotiations? Do you feel undervalued by the company, or is this really the end and you really do just want to walk away?
I really do want to walk away, but like I said, man, money talks. Money talks, but I'm happy with the UFC. I want to say thank you to Uncle Dana, Hunter Campbell. You know, they take care of me, but I'm ready to start that new chapter in my life. As a Mexican American that comes from Mexican descent, man. I have nephews that are 27 years old, man, 25. I don't even have a kid, you know. And I got about 12 nieces and nephews, and this, you know, I want to start that new chapter in my life, and you know, I could never do that as a kid that was raised by a single mother. I could never fight and try to raise a family because I know what it takes, man, and I know that I'm very selfish to myself. Like I said, rightfully so. So, you know,
what was
that's it, and it's not a plot, man. When I walked away from wrestling, I completely walked away, never looked back. I rarely even went to a wrestling room, and I almost feel the same way with mixed martial arts, and wrestling was my first love.
What was Dana White's reaction?
I don't know, man. At first he was kind of like, do what's best for you, but he's like, shit, you know, we lost a good one. You know, if you guys don't like it, then I saved the division. I saved the flyweight division. I defended my flyweight title. I defended my bantamweight title. And I can die in peace, guys. And I deserve this, man. I deserve to leave on top with 2 belts. And there's no flyweight champion because that flyweight champion is right here. I'm satisfied and I'm happy with my career, man. This isn't a publicity stunt. This is. You can ask my team. I told them, you know, prior to this, and I told Eric again that he didn't want me to retire. He's like, no. He's like, call them all out. I was like, no, Eric. I said, this is for me. I told him in Portuguese, I said, vou aposentar. I says, I'm gonna retire, man. It's been fun, man. I wanna say thank you. You guys have been there for me, whether you hate me or you love me. Like everything that I've done in the sport has always been in the best for my weight class, for my division, for everybody. I know it's a lot. It's very hard for people to understand that because the crazy things that I do, you know, prior to fights, but it's all done in the love of promotion. And you know, even though my nickname is a Triple C, prior to that, it was the Messenger. And I feel like I will always be the messenger, somewhat wrapped into Triple C. So if I can leave you guys off with 3 things that's made me successful in my life, I call it dream, sacrifice, victory. The bigger the dream, the greater the sacrifice. The sacrifice always has to be greater than the dream in order for you to accomplish victory. The dream, sacrifice, victory. Sincerely, the greatest of all time, Triple C.